Hello and welcome. My name's Leanne. I live in Australia and this is my crafty cupboard.
So I'm just using sewing machine thread. That was the closest colour match I had to the ribbon, in the hope that the little stitches hopefully won't show. And I don't know whether to go in the centre or just, I might do 2 rows. Have you got a cup of tea or something? What's your favourite drink? I used to love Earl Grey tea. I still do on occasion. And then for the longest time I drank Lady Grey. But now all of a sudden I find I just prefer good old-fashioned English breakfast. I don't drink coffee. I like the smell of coffee very much. I used to drink coffee, and then when I was pregnant with my first child, I couldn't stand it. And then I realised that I no longer suffered stomach bloating when I was no longer drinking it. So I simply never took it up again. Plus, I love the serenity and peace of tea. There's no noise involved in tea making apart from the gentle boil of some water. You go to cafes nowadays and they're filled with clanging and banging and grinding, and I'm not a fan. I'd love to open a tea house. Wouldn't that be lovely? And then as a nod to the coffee drinkers, I'd accommodate them by having some Nescafe or something. You know, the same as it is when you go and order a tea from a coffee place. They'll have the one bag of tea for you. Invariably make it like it's a cup of coffee, pour the milk in before the tea's even had a chance to steep. Turn it into this milky, tasteless... Oh, look at me whinging. That would be lovely, wouldn't it be delightful to have a tea house? It would all be light and airy. I'd have French doors opening out onto the beautiful gardens filled with roses and lavender. Everyone could be sitting around stitching, sipping on their tea. All served from beautiful teapots, of course, in delightful cups. For a while there I did contemplate opening such a place. But then when I thought long and hard about it, I realised I didn't want to be running that business. I just wanted to be the lady sitting in the chair sipping the tea, happily stitching. Someone else needs to make this place for me. Then I can go and sit in the chair and enjoy it. But we can create these things, these moments for ourselves in our homes, can't we? It was when I realised that I love going to beautifully laid out craft stores and looking at their gorgeous shelves. You know, I was like a kid in a toy shop. You can stand there and stare at their shelves forever and see all the pretty things. And that's actually what led to the realisation that, well, if this is something that's important to me, something that brings me great joy every time, why not create that in my home? We don't need a formal dining room. And the dining room is the place I sort of am drawn to because it's surrounded in little windows and I can see all outside. So that's what started Leanne's crafty cupboard. I bought myself that crafty cupboard. It's something actually I'd looked at so many times in store and online and just thought, no, it's expensive and, you know, it's not a necessary thing that we have to have. And in the end, my husband said to me, you have saved the money. It's something you want. Just buy it. Just do it. And so I did, and I have not looked back. This thing has given me joy every single day of my life. I'm like, every morning is Christmas morning. Can't wait to get up, get downstairs and spend some time in this space. And all of it brings me pleasure and joy. Even tidying and organising it, arranging things on it. That's really good for those times when you sort of want to play, but you know, you can't decide what you want to stitch. You're sort of just a bit out of sorts. That's when I actually rearrange things in the cupboard. And just by not having idle hands, eventually inspiration comes. Excuse me while I have a sip of tea. Goodness, I'm good at sewing knots. Just let this thread dangle a bit. Yes, I'm glad I chose it to do it along that edge there because it is quite visible. So now it's sort of just become a feature. So I'm full of ideas about what I want to try on this. I want to try the blue flowers. Remind me a little bit of the little crocheted flowers I do. So I think I'll crochet a couple of flowers. Of course I have to put some jonquils in this piece that has no jonquils. And I've been searching for images and none are like the jonquils that I have here. You know, they're normally when you look for an embroidered jonquil or something like that, it's the ones that look like daffodils, not the frilly, fluffy cream versions I have. So these are sort of like the shape. So I'm wondering if like a lovely wide silk ribbon, just in ribbon stitch or fly stitch, might give me the outer petals, and then maybe a knot would give the little cup in the center. So that's something I'd like to try. The large feature rose, I'm sort of undecided. Well, it's not a rose. The print's called dahlia, so dahlia. It's spelled D-A-H-L-I-A. In Australia, we always call it dahlia. What about other parts of the world? I've always been intrigued by this, that we say dahlia when it's D-A-H. Okay. I mean, this lends itself well to some beautiful beads, doesn't it? The centre part there. Or some silk covered knots, like I've done on the like this, like I've done on this stitching. Wow, isn't that remarkably sort of similar? I keep seeing myself drawn to the same thing. So this was the vintage embroidery pattern found in a book from the 1800s online. Yes, I mean, that could work nicely for those as well. I'm about to sneeze, excuse me. The downside of spring season. Yes, I'm undecided. I don't know. Part of me sort of thinking stitch it all in long and short stitch. Just stitch the outlines of the different colours. Oh goodness me. Don't you hate it when the sneeze never happens? It makes your eyes water. All that drama for nothing. Yeah, the leaves, I'm undecided. Maybe just outline them. What would you do if this was your piece? How would you stitch on these? If it's going to be a wall hanging, then, you know, we can go free with, it doesn't have to stay flat or anything. We could put some 3D elements on it. And some of the ones sort of this size, that could maybe be a lovely, you know, silk embroidered thing. I love these sort of little berry buds. Buds, aren't they, I guess? Maybe a little bead in the center of those. Oops, what have I done there? Start out slowly and then I get impatient. I was trying to make the stitches disappear at the start, but then when it was obvious that they're not going to disappear, I just picked up speed. Okay, so I'm going to do that around there and then these two sides as well, and I'll be back. Righto, let's pick some threads. So I'm going to just try long and short stitch on this one, and then either beads or, as I mentioned, the French knots covered with silk ribbon for those stamens. I certainly have a lot of pinks. So I got sick of my threads everywhere, so I don't know if I shared this when I made this. So I went shopping for a big container for my threads, and they were really expensive. And then there was this tray that's meant to go in the fridge for $5, and I thought, that seems like the right size. I can just separate it with cardboard strips. So that's what I did. And even though I have said before, I don't like how these make your thread kink. It is more convenient to have them all in one spot. This is how I was storing them, just hanging off coat hangers. And then I saw a Japanese woman in her video plaiting them, and so that was very enjoyable, sitting and plaiting them, but still it's just not as convenient as having them all in a tray. And I went through, and the ones that I knew the numbers of, I've numbered them up, and they're sorted out in DMC number order. But these are all second hand, either gifted to me or thrifted, so I have no idea. So I just put them in colours, and this was really handy process because I could see from doing this that I don't need to buy any more pinks for the rest of my life. But I'm really missing blues. I don't have many blues. All these greens are glorious. They came from a second-hand store, and the lady that was volunteering there had done this. She'd sort of taken all the green skeins and put them all together in one box. A garden of greens. Anyway, sidetracked. Picks and pinks. The thing is about these pinks, are actually all nearly the same colour. And I have taken out pinks. I've got another. Of course I do. I have another little project where I'm doing a long and short stitch rose from Trish Burr's book. Shall I show you? Do you want to see? I think I might have shown it before. It's very time consuming because it's single threads. Hang on. Oh. Haven't quite done as much as I thought I had. But, you know, when you want to be able to do things, you have to get in there and do it, don't you? Okay. So that has come from this glorious book. Long and Short Stitch Embroidery by Trish Burr. I'm sure if you like embroidery, you've seen her work. Incredible. And this is, I thought I should start out small. This is the little rosebud. Just give you a glimpse there. So, recommend this if you're into learning how to do some beautiful flowers in long and short stitch embroidery. I think I've shown the book before too, but they're all the projects that you get in this glorious book. See, I really should leave all my projects out on the table. There's 4 chairs around this table. I could leave one project set up at each chair and just rotate around them. Because when you put them away in your drawer, you forget that they're there and you forget that you were doing them. And the trouble I have with this one now is that the pen has all faded. That's okay, I could take it out the hoop and redo it. Anyway, I think doing that was what started this process off, because she lists all the threads to use and I was curious, do I have those threads? So let's organise the threads and find out. And of course I didn't have anywhere near the threads that were needed, but I just decided to look online and get close, you know. So I picked colours that were sort of close. And there we have it. Oops. I can't remember if I showed you the footage of me making this or not. I actually used my electric drill. I put the bobbin in the electric drill slot and slowly used the drill to do all the spinning for me. That was a lot of fun. All right, that and is that too much? That might be a bit much. Might be a bit overpowering. Something a bit muted. Sort of a brownie. Red, isn't it? Oh, that's a different thickness. I wonder where my bundle of threads are that I'm using on the rose. So this is the other advantage when you have them all on these bobbins is that they've got holes, so you can put them all on a loop. So these are all the ones I'm using on that rose. Yeah, that one might be the right one. DMC 3328. That's a good match, isn't it? Three, 328. Do I have it? Clearly not. Well, I mean, I have it there. All right, I'm going to have to borrow you from that rose project. So, yeah, one kitchen tray. So that's 7 rows. $30 bobbins. So that can hold 210 roughly, maybe 200 if they were all full. Righto, well, so the little rose, this is one thread. And of course that's taking a very long time. And I don't want this to take that long, so I might go 2. Well, let's start out with that soft pink, shall we? Sorry. Right, now where the design has been stitched over, thinking I can resurrect it by looking at the back. I'll go short for this first one. Not overly happy with the look of that. Maybe I might want to use wool. I think I'd struggle to find a darker colour in the wool though, because I keep buying the pastels. Not judge it yet. Let's do a couple more stitches. I mean, wool doesn't really suggest spring, does it? Probably really should be in a hoop for this style of stitching. But now that I have that on there, I don't want to crease it with a hoop. Because the linen's a bit unforgiving too, where the hoop's been. Maybe I should save thread by doing that one where you come up like here. Knots, naughty. Yep, time to work our way back up again. I'm only having to flip back and forth so much so I can see the line of the flower on the back of the work where I've stitched over it. Once I get past this part, I'll be able to just keep it front on. I have to put another short stitch in there. There's too gappy. Get it right in the perfect. Just there. Still feels a bit gappy. Let's go again, one more. Right there. It's better. Go very short with that one, I think. Maybe I should have sat and read Trisha's book a bit, because I'm realising I'm not sure. Are you supposed to do the outside first and go light to dark, or should you start at the centre? Oh well, we will learn by whatever happens when I work on this. Maybe it doesn't make a difference, maybe it does. Whoops, accidentally pulled that too tight. That's where a hoop comes in handy. You can't accidentally do that. Drat, I just came unthreaded. Well, I'm having fun with this so far, I've got to say. Cut that end, it's too frayed, I'm afraid. This thread painting idea is a wonderful way to get into embroidery, because the pattern's there for you. You just pick up your fabric and start stitching. The ribbon at the corners, I did put a bit of basting glue, because I don't want them to fray. So I just use this one, because it's got a tiny tip on it, which I find helpful. But honestly, the consistency of that feels like runny PVA, so perhaps if you've got some PVA glue, you could do a little test patch. Okay, so once again, Leanne's pushed it to the limit. Yes, it's a little puckered there. I want to be careful as I continue to not keep doing that. Now, I found myself unexpectedly in the city overnight, and free time on my hands, nothing to do. So what did I do? I took myself off to Stitch in Willoughby, and never been there before, so I was just curious. Just caught the bus from the QVB in Sydney. It's the bus that goes to Chatswood. And this needle was the one that the lovely woman in the store recommended. Let me get the packet. It's quite a large needle compared to what I normally grab. So it's a number 5 crewel. But the beautiful thing about these is that they've got a lovely big eye. So it makes them very easy to thread. Let me show you for comparison. So that's one I would normally use. It's hard to see, isn't it? Now obviously this is smaller size. You can see the difference in the eyes. This is, and they're quite solid. You can see the difference in the size. I normally go for something much smaller. Yes, I found it was very nice to stitch with that it just moves through the fabric very easily. Okay, well, I'm going to leave it there for today, and I'll see you later. We'll keep working on this another time. Thanks, by the way, to everyone that takes time to view my videos and leaves lovely comments. It's so wonderful. It's just beautiful having you part of this community and joining in, and I love to hear what you're working on and what's happening in your garden, so don't be shy. Say hi. Thanks everyone. Bye-bye.